Hey, we're in the lab and I'm making a little video clip for week 9. And what you see on these tables here are macroinvertebrates, the bugs of Browns Creek. So they came out of this jar. That's what we put them in, from the D net, when I've got some D nets sitting over here. From those D nets, so we kick these around the bottom of the creek, and the critters would flow into those things just based on the flow of the creek itself. So from the D nets into these jars, this is W4, and the one on the table over there is W3. So I dump them out on this tray, and then I carefully use tweezers and I pick critters and put them into petri dishes full of alcohol. And so anyway, the idea here is that we're gonna put our collection together and put all the same critters in the same vials, and then we'll look at their pollution tolerance numbers. And you recall that goes from 0 to 10, 0 being awesome, 10 being lousy. And for 20 years, going to the same spots in Browns Creek, we've been able to maintain about a 3 on the 0 to 10 ratio, which is really, really good. When you consider that we'd expect bugs that are in the high numbers to be there, even though the water quality is awesome. It's just that if the water quality is poor, those leeches and the 8, 9s, and 10s will be there as they always have been, but none of the other caddisflies, stoneflies, and mayflies will be represented. So you can take a close look here what I'm showing you. So in this, we have a whole bunch of scuds. They're like little tiny lobster almost, related to crayfish, if you will. And then this is kind of a variety of things here, but I started subsampling the scuds. I put them all together. In this container, those are all caddisflies. And if you look really carefully, you can see they are little critters living in a little cocoon that they built, and it usually is lodged into the underside or the side of some large rocks. So they got knocked off of the rocks and they fell into our net. So it's the house and the bug. We'll have to pull some of those apart and identify all those. But there's hundreds in that container. And then these are some giant Tapulidae fly larvae and some actually aquatic earthworms. So anyway, I would imagine what I'm showing you here is the one I just finished, which is W4, which is closer to the St. Croix River. And then over here is kind of similar looking. You can see again a bunch of scuds, and in this one there's a whole bunch of earthworms. That's just solid earthworms, and there were so many caddisflies that it required 2 trays full of alcohol just to keep them pickled, if you will. And then this is an assortment of other creatures. So I'm guessing, in this petri dish, just like the other one where there's a menagerie, that'll probably bring our bug count for number of species in each of these to somewhere between a dozen and 20 different kinds of bugs. Some that are only poorly represented, 1 or 2, and then others like the scuds and the caddisflies that could be in the hundreds. So anyway, the reason for the video is I'm going to give you the data on week 9, and your job will be to figure out, when you multiply all the bugs by their pollution tolerance value and then divide by the number of bugs there, we should be able to get an average. And we'll see where it lands this year. So anyway, that's coming up. So I wanted to show you the bugs that you'll be tallying, and that'll be your homework next week, is to give me a pollution tolerance value, also called the FBI, the Family Biotic Index, some number between 0 and 10 for upstream, downstream, also called W3 or W4 for Browns Creek. Awesome.